All right, all right. Good morning, good morning. We're getting our welcome here from our we're getting our good morning from our ride leader here, Taya Friedstead. We're reminding that we're going on a neutral rollout and making sure that you stay with the beacon today. We are on the pier. You can see the sun is beaming on this pier today. The course we'll be doing is 3 laps Hilly, Watopia, and this is a classic course. If you haven't rolled it in a while, because we've been doing all the amazing courses here on Watopia, you are going to really enjoy the ride today. So we're looking at doing just short of 27 kilometers today. We've got 3 climbs to do. We've got 3 climbs to do, and that's going to bring us to an end here, but we are going to have a neutral rollout, so we're really excited about today's race. We're just about to hit 4950 riders, and I will be right back. Chris, here, on the side door. All right, we are about to roll out here. To jump on board here with Taya Friedstead. We are rolling out. All right, everybody. So, a couple of things before we get started. We're right here on the pen. We are going to roll out to the bottom of the hill. Course today is Watopia Hilly from the ramp. So we're rolling out on the ramp here, making sure that all riders are with the ride leader. And we're rolling out at a nice, steady pace. We're going to go till Hank's Garage is what we've got here from our ride leader. And really quickly, we'll just make sure everyone is together here. We're rolling off the pier now. Let's just back out. Really huge group. We're just over 50 riders as we rolled out this morning. And we're very, very excited with this group. Don't forget that this is a qualifying Zwift Academy ride. That means for those riders who are looking to qualify for Zwift Academy, on the ladies' side, this is a race for you. This is where you can prove yourself to the group, and as far as your growth over the 6 weeks, you'll be able to show them what you've got. So I'm still here on board with our ride leader here, and as we roll out, for those that haven't seen Zwift Academy before or don't know what it's all about, we're going to play a quick clip here, and we'll be able to give a little bit more information on kind of what Zwift Academy is. So.
Last year, Zwift Academy opened its doors, launching a groundbreaking worldwide talent search to find the next pro rider for Canyon SRAM racing. The competition exceeded all expectation. Over 1,200 women from 51 countries signed up to take the challenge in Zwift. In a truly grand finale, on the island of Majorca at Canyon SRAM's training camp, Leah Thorvaldsen of Little Rock, Arkansas, was crowned 2016 Zwift Academy champion and the newest member of Canyon SRAM Racing. This year, it could be you.
Oh wow, I could have a shot at a pro contract, but it's for anyone. It's a huge step forward in your own fitness, and so it's not all just about the one person who's going to get a pro contract.
Can we do something about the background noise? I think it's J-Lo.
Zwift Academy is this great program where Zwift is trying to get the women more involved. It's just this huge, to me, a great community. There's women coming up going, I get how this could fit into my life.
What I think is so nice about Zwift Academy, I really think that it was inspiring lots of women to take part in this adventure. Maybe they've gone far beyond their own expectations.
How far I got in Zwift, there were 1,200 females that joined, and there were 100 females that finished Zwift, and I can't believe I was one of them.
Yes, it's hard. Come on, you can do it, you know, just do your best. Because it's not just the physical side, it's the determination and to boost your confidence in anything else you do, not just cycling.
Kate Toledano, can you please go to Push
Find out
to
how
Talk?
strong you really are. Find new friends from around the world. Find out if you have what it takes to go pro.
Kate Toledano, please be.
Do not wait,
Push to
just
Talk.
follow your dreams.
Be the best cyclist you can be. Head over to academy.zwift.com to find out more and sign up today. Last year, Zwift Academy opened its doors, launching a groundbreaking worldwide talent search to find the next pro rider for Canyon SRAM racing.
All right, welcome. So we're going to bring this in. We're just about to go easy here. We're going up the first hill, but I've got a special announcement here. Let me just roll this back. I've got a race cam here. I'm going to bring us in here into the loop.
Leah Thorvalson of Little Rock, Arkansas, was crowned 2016 Zwift Academy champion and the newest member of Canyon SRAM Racing.
So just in, straight from the airport, nice and fresh.
Should be you.
Here we go. I've got Mr. Chris Haskell here with me today.
Hello, people.
It's early. We're in California, but man, we are excited to be here this morning.
It's a win.
So we've got a huge group. We've got a really good group going up here. Everyone's really following the pace here, Chris. We are doing Hilly.
The women more
Hilly Watopia, 3 laps up, and everyone looks like they're staying really well with the ride leader here, keeping this crawling pace as we go up the first climb of Watopia Hills. How are you doing this morning, Chris?
I'm doing really good. We've never been able to do this face-to-face in the same space. We're normally separated by about 875 miles of road, but just one internet, so it's just one big world. But so it's actually nice to be able to come and hang out with you here in your location. But I had to get up at 4 a.m. local time to drive out here. But that's the time to drive on the LA freeways. It is nice. Look at that! They're all together there, just one big blob of happiness as they come up that hill.
Absolutely. Look, great work. You can see them all come up through here. We've got just 1 or 2 more turns as we come up to the hill, and then we'll be able to drop it down and bring it to the race to you. Remember, it's going to be 3 laps hilly. I'm going to bring in just a quick look at what the course looks like. This is going to be 16.7 miles total as far as the laps go here. If you take a quick look at the Zwift Power here, you're looking at 3 nice large climbs here. As we're going up the first one here, as I show, we'll be going into this up 2 more times as we roll around a couple more times here, just making sure that everyone is behind the beacon.
In a truly grand finale.
All right, and back to the race here. Deep in here, looks like everyone's staying behind. The beacon looks great here as we roll out. We've got a lot of returning riders here, Chris, but I see a lot of new names in the roll list, and I think it's going to be exciting just because that element of not having ridden with a group can definitely throw a wrench in kind of the normal riders group. Oh, man.
Hello.
There it is. Sorry about that. We lost communication for just a moment. I was saying that there are a lot of new riders in the group, and it is a really exciting thing. We're looking at throwing a wrench into the mix of just our everyday rides. I mean, we've been doing this thing for 2 times a month for the last, I don't know, infinity.
Yeah.
It seems just definitely a long time. So let's see. There's a callback for one of our riders to come on back, so we're just going to make sure that everyone is behind the leader. They're about 30 seconds front. We haven't had this issue before, but but I think we're going to be okay. We'll keep a close eye on it. We do have a commissioner here that's going to be calling us out and letting us know when this starts. As the ride leader comes around, looks like everyone has pretty much stayed behind. It's pretty nice to see. If I pull up, let's see, should be able to pull up our little game map here, and what it'll show us is kind of where everyone's at, and you can see how closely clumped everyone is as we go into the final KOM here. Everyone's kind of surging here, but still staying pretty close here, Chris. This is a classic course. Can you tell me about some of your experiences on the course here?
Well, normally, and this is a neutral start, and the neutral start makes things a lot easier, maybe a lot more fair, because normally when you start straight out of the pens, you get less than a mile, just a couple of K, and then you start kicking up this thing. And if it's a go from the start, and some people like that kind of race, I'm not a fan of it, then it just blows apart early. It's nice to be able to roll with a big group, feel like you're part of the race, and get to the top of this hill as they are right now. Taya Freestead on the chevron over her head, getting ready to release this when they get down to Hanks. But everybody with her at this point, or coming back to her, making sure that they're together. This course, as you specifically ask, is one that tends to fall apart on this climb. It's the most serious of all the climbs, save the the KOM climb. the big KOM climb up the mountain. And so it tends to separate people. In the early days when we could just go that one direction, that's where, you know, you left your friends behind or got left behind by them. So coming up on this hill, the part of it that's the most difficult is that first climb. They're all over together. And so now it gets easier to stay with the group. If you're a heavier rider, and that's not a criticism, you can stay with your folks. Now a lot easier moving on. Although I find it interesting, we got a couple of people on what look to be, well, that, you know, that Zwift bike right there. That's, you know, and that's totally out of style because it's got the old logo on that Zwift bike. Oh, how embarrassing! But you've got this collection of people on all sorts of different bikes coming down. For really what's the easier part of this ride. Now, they're going to start at Hanks, which is the right place to start, in my opinion, after coming downhill and going up. But you see all of the people on the mini map that are with them there. I like this mini map. This is a new one. But boy, just a big group of people. Doesn't look like anybody got dropped on that hill with a 2.0 watts per kilo kind of pace set there. Doesn't look like there's really anybody trailing at this point. Wow, 50 riders in one big bunch there. That's pretty cool looking.
So pretty solid here as we get down to Hanks. We're going to let this go. We're going to hear the go, go, go from the Commission R. So we'll listen for that as we get everything started here. So with this course, it's going to be relatively flat as we go straight into the S's right after Hanks. So what we'll find is that there's going to be some groups that are going to really push it hard here because they've got a while to get some separation before this first climb. But I think I guess it'll be our second climb is where the race is really going to start.
Yep, and if you notice, you know, some of this landscape, or if you're new, Hanks is the store down at the bottom of the hill there. It's a little grown over. It's not currently something you can step into, but it becomes one of the features. And like any game map, we start to create nicknames for, in this case, this was specifically named, to talk about the different features so we can communicate them very quickly. You can communicate them to your friends. Hey, I'm passing by Hanks, or I'm on the JW Bridge, or I'm in Sprint Town. You know, these names and nicknames, as they all jump up there, that was pretty cool looking. These names and nicknames become kind of essential to communication of the world and its kind of worldness. It's pretty cool, but it happens in other games and virtual worlds as well. As we're locked into this to this view here, you cast through the group. It's fun to see an entire group of 50+ women's avatars in the group, and they pull back the rider who had drifted off the front there briefly, and she drifts back into the group. She's gonna get back in just in time, and we're gonna go to the commissar right now, who's gonna kick this thing off.
Go, 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 ladies. Go, go, go.
The night train, our commissar, and they push it up here. Boy, this is really interesting. Ooh, Carol Scott decides she's going to have a little go here. Moves to the front. People, out of the saddle too. She's going to try to get off the front here, or at least create a little bit of a gap. But that's a hard thing to do going downhill. Everybody's already got their speed. You can put in a lot of power, but it doesn't get you very far. That cone of awesome surrounding Taya Freestead, it'll remain around her as our ride leader as we back away. When you're close, you see the chevron. When you're far away, you see the cone. It's pretty cool, but nothing really comes. Zeke Rider on the front here. There's not a lot you can do going downhill to create separation unless you've got a power-up, which they don't in a ride like this. And you've got to be able to put out so much more power than these other folks do. So as they're coming up, they're going to go through Sprint Town here in a moment. If you're going to use a little bit of power, ooh, our friend Beth York in the group. I hadn't spotted her before. She's so awesome. We'll talk and sing her praises here shortly. But as you come through Sprint Town, Jason, where does this thing take off? I mean, it's a blob now, but where the fast riders decide that they want to leave everybody else behind?
You know, there is this one little bump right after Sprint Town, and what you'll find is those riders will try to really break the power as they go up that hill. They're going to be able to give a chance to really get a punch, because after that you've got rollers, and this is where you could really drop groups. If you've ever done a group ride on the S's, we call it, and it's just rollers that rise and drop. drop and rise and drop. You really need to keep your power up. But this is a really big group. We really haven't seen this large of a separation.
Trailing off at the back there, yeah. But you're right. It's a lot like Haskell Hill in Richmond. It's not really a hill, but if you're not paying attention and you're not putting out the same watch, you can find yourself off the back. I'm notorious for that specific group. When we added Richmond, we'd be in a nice group ride, talking politely, and then all of a sudden we'd hit that bump down in the industrial district. I wasn't paying close enough attention, and all of a sudden I was back by 1 or 2 or 3 or 75 seconds, and there was nothing I could do to get back on except to burn myself out. As they come through Sprint Town here, it looked like it'd be a nice place to step outside and have a croissant at one of these little cafes. I'd like to do that someday.
I feel like it'd always be really cool to maybe just be able to sit there and then just watch the riders go by, Chris. Don't you think?
It's funny. I talked to Mike McCarthy and Eric Min specifically about that a few weeks ago. I got to go out and visit Zwift in Long Beach, and one of the things we talked about is just being able to occupy this world in other ways. You know, a World of Warcraft player will log in and just sit in a tavern, you know, in Orgrimmar or one of these other virtual world places and just communicate with people while they're at work. You know, they'll just stay logged in. We don't have that place right now in Zwift, and I think that someday we will. But that's one of those places I'd like to be able to just load up my avatar on foot and just walk around, just navigate around a little town like that, sit down in some cool places. Yeah, they're really all together. There is a collection that's off the back here, but everybody's really cooking here because they get that thumbs up, which means that's probably a 30-day PR for lots of these folks. But as you mentioned, a lot of these folks are new to this event, that the Zwift Academy events have really brought out a new collection of cool people. What's that about?
Yeah, so with Zwift Academy, what we have done, or what they have done, Zwift has put together a six-week competition that has actually challenged both men and women to training, group rides, and races, just like we are here today. And over those 6 weeks, there's essentially a competition where there will be chosen out of that group semifinalists that will move forward after the 6 weeks to compete for an actual position on a pro tour at Canyon SRAM. So definitely something, if you haven't had a chance, or if you're involved now and haven't immersed yourself, definitely take your time. There's still some time left to kind of get some experience in it, but I don't think it's any time to register, but you can still experience the races and the rides. Those are open to everyone here on the Zwift platform.
Yeah, it's really cool to see all of the things that they're putting together. Now, communities form in here sometimes that the designers didn't intend, and they bring Kim Beezer in the group here doing a great job. We'll start to call some of these names as they move into more collected groups here. Kim Beezer, one of our veterans at this Saturday morning race. She's been doing it for a long time. Zeke Ryder also in that group with that Swiss flag going on. Taya Freestead still in the mix here, making sure that she's close. Doesn't have to sit on the front. Beth York, making sure that she's at the front of this thing. She did an amazing job in Paris, not only on the bike, which she qualified for that top level race on the final day, but she sat next to me on the desk every day too. So it was really cool to meet her and to spend time with her. I hope I get a chance to do that again. That was really cool. But she is everything that I am not. She's a talented, caster and broadcaster with a lot of history in that profession as a professional. And she's a kick butt bike racer, which I cannot claim. And she's of course out here. You know what we ought to do is we ought to throw a mic on her and we ought to ask her to call her own race right now, because she could probably do it.
Yeah, I think Beth has those skills. You know, she hides in Discord here as if you ever look for her, you'll never find her name. She's actually just ... She's very, kind of mystique like that. So I think that'd be interesting if she could call the whole race 3 laps while she was riding in the front pack. I think that could be interesting to hear.
Yeah, this announcement just made. Beth York will call the next race from the bike entirely. She'll have a nice 30-minute pre-show. She'll do interviews during race, and she'll also win it. All of that's going to happen in the same race next time.
We are coming up on the start-finish banner here, and this group is really staying together well. There's a lot of new names here. We've got, Megan Herzog here, Stephanie Hallmichael, names we see every week in and out, but we've got new names like It looks like Aaron Rock. I'm trying to go M Talent, Michelle Talent there, and Carol Scott. These are riders that, you know, these may be new names for a lot of these people. So that really throws in kind of an unknown factor on how hard these riders are going to go. As we take a couple turns, we're actually going to head up the hills here in just a moment. So we're going to see how much effort, and what you'll find is that there's going to be a testing of wills, a testing of skills, and seeing who can hold the pace and who can hold on to this group as we go up the hill for the second time today.
And it really is, it's going to be a swallow the vomit moment. And no one likes to think about those in those terms, but that's where we're going to go. You've got to be able to give yourself about 3 minutes of complete suffering where you can't do anything else about it. You just put yourself in the worst spot possible. It's kind of like going to the DMV. You just have to deal with it. It's only going to last a certain amount of time. When you come out, you'll have what you want, but probably not be any richer for the time that you spent there. So they're going to hit this hill. Somebody's going to instigate. The real racers are going to come to the front. I mean, they're all real racers, but the strongest ones as they come around the corkscrew here, hit the bridge. That's where it kicks up for sure. It looks like it's a little climby here, but as we see by the 1%, it's really not happening. This is the psychological climb at this point. You'll hit that bridge, the psychological climb increases, but then the percentage increases. What is that percentage as they come around the corner up here? Is it 7%, 9%, 10%? I think it's 10%.
Just as you come up through this.
Yeah, we're about to hit it. We bump up 5, 6, and you see the color change, 7%. Who's going to ride to the front here? Stephanie Holmichael actually putting herself closer to the front, wants to make sure that she's there, which is good because she's missed this move a couple times, doesn't want to miss it today. Taya Freested's right there. Beth York and Tara Freested, fast friends after meeting in Paris for the CVR event. They're going to come together right here. Hopefully, she's going to be able to hang onto her wheel. She definitely wants to. Oh, here we go. Van Goot right there also at the front. But Beth York is the one who's delivering the push at the front. Taya tried to catch onto her wheel. Now she'd be super smart here. Beth York, check out the hair. She took that from a couple of folks in Paris who wore that hair for real. Which is dang cool. Alice being one of those. But we've got an international flair here at the front. That's a mix plate, if you will, a sampler of all of the great riders who are sitting at the front here, and they're not really going anywhere. But look at this: 1 second, 2 seconds back off Beth York now is her friend, right? Our ride leader, Taya Freested, is actually gapping a little bit, 3 seconds. This seems to grow. They're not doing the same watts per kilo. And what does that mean on a climb, Jason, if they're not doing the same watts per kilogram as we look at it on the game?
So as we're watching this, what you'll find is if you're not able to match those watts per kilogram, as you see them pop up on the right-hand side, you'll find that you are going to fall back further and further. So you need to make sure that you either match or go above that because a lot of these ladies are just about the same size. So you'll need to make sure that you match those watts per kilogram. But looking back in the looking back on the climb, there's actually 2 other groups following here. There's a group that's about 15 seconds off the front group. That's a small chase group of 2 riders, but there's this large group of 6 up here of Nadia Asari, Rachel Harvey, June Upshaw, Jane Snarth, and one other. It looks like Liz, our crazy Canuck, is also in that group of 5 or 6 chasing up this hill. I think it'd be wise for this group to group together as they go through the KOM, but definitely looking like a strong just group overall. Everyone's doing the right thing and grouping together because that's what you need as you come down on the other side.
Yeah, and in that second chase group, you've got Liz, the crazy Canuck, and she's the one who's trying to fire them up in that group. She's been in this race more times than just about anybody. She leans over to those girls and says, "You guys want to see my collection of scars?" And people are like, "On you?" And she's like, "No, the ones that I've given other people." She really is a crazy rider. And so they're going to do what she says. She's going to want to be right there at the front of that, just yelling at them. Look at all those best times coming up there as the confetti flies. If you see that forced thumbs up show up on the right side menu there, that means somebody did something special and the game is prompting you to give them a little bit more love than you would normally give them. And in a race like this, no one's reaching over to give love. That's just the way it is. But as they come up and over, we see a clear collection of people and a clear separation of others. I think most notable there, you've got Beth York in that front group, but look who did not make that move with her. Now 9 seconds back. Taya Freestead, she's won this race many times. She's surprised that she's not in that group, and it's got to be looking around for somebody to help her out.
Yeah, so it looks like it's been a separation of 7 riders in this front group with the Beth York and Megan Herzog here in the front of this group, but we have that chase group only about 10 to 15 seconds, but they're fragmented here, Chris. They're fragmented by 2 or 3 seconds apart, so they need to kind of pack together to work to each other, because going downhill, there is a force, there is a draft that will allow you to speed up. So a 10-second gap is something that can be caught if they let off the throttle as they go downhill here.
And as it starts to rain on Watopia, it's going to get dangerous. We could see riders go down. So going through the group, we want to make sure that they are careful coming around these corners, or they could slide out. Actually, they can't do that yet. But that would be really cool if you could create some situation where you could, a certain kind of speed or a certain lack of pedaling through an area could conceivably cause you to slide out. That would be very dangerous. But I promise you the avatars would not be severely hurt by something like that. Just maybe a little bit of a time penalty. But as you look over the shoulder here, you see this lead group who's got Herzog and Holmichael, and of course Beth York drilling it on the front here. Boy, she's doing a lot of work that she doesn't need to necessarily do herself. You see behind her that cone of awesome, which is our ride leader, Taya Freestead. She'll keep that golden cone for the remainder of this race. You can see the gap that's growing now up to 20 seconds. She appears to be the one on the front of her group. She's trying to pull back a couple of other riders as well, Cox in that group. But Beth York now kind of just trolling the back of her group, making sure that she's not doing all the work on the front. But that's the gap that's going to make a difference. And once you've got a gap like this, Jason, does your strategy change? She goes from drilling it on the front. What does she do now that she knows she's got a big gap against that group and it's growing? Melville behind, Freestead behind, Lewandorf behind. That gap is growing bigger. They're in a much smaller group. The onus is on them to do the work. So how does that change your strategy in a group of what looks like 7 strong riders?
That's right, Chris. So with 7 riders, the draft is intact. Really anywhere over, I would say 4 riders or more, this front group has power. So all they need to do is maintain. They're almost at 30 seconds. So outside of 30 seconds, that's a pretty big gap here. As we go all the way around the island and come back to the climb, that's when they're going to need to worry about the gap again. But right now, they just need to keep the pace up. It doesn't need to be on the rivet, but everyone needs to get on the front and do work. So alliances need to be made so that this gap is open and that it is either maintaining or continuing itself as we go around the course. But everyone does need to take their turn. It doesn't need to be, neck breaking, leg breaking. It just needs to be consistent as everybody gets on the front.
And you're talking about this pace that's being set on the front, because people behind in the slip can do something completely different. But if you're on the front, it's 4.2. Or if you're on the front, it's 4.3. And that's the agreement that you make in a group like this to make sure that you stay away. Whatever that is, you've got to maintain it. Now, there are some spots on the course where it'll bump up and do something different, but really you want that push on the front. Now, the great thing also, Jason, about the rain here is that the group does not have to pull over for a bourgeois natural. If you're already completely wet, there's an opportunity to take a nature break while you're still moving, and no one will be the wiser. So they can always, the avatars, do that in this case. They're hitting the bump right now. This is where it gets a little bit more difficult for just a minute, but then it kind of eases down as they go past the waterfall into Sprint Town and doing those types of things. Looks like a group of 7 riders. Am I counting that correct?
That's right, 7 riders. The same 7 riders that came off the KOM are staying here together, and their pace is right where it needs to be, above 3.5, above 4.0. This is going to make sure that they have the legs to make it over the next climb. The next climb is actually going to be the final climb, Chris. It's going to be make or break. You need to make this break and get over the KOM with this group if you want any chance to make it to the start-finish line with this group.
And they're coming up on what I think is, you see the cone behind there as you look over the shoulder and how far back Taya Freestead is now from that group. I think she has missed the move. We can start sending her mail. Change of address form submitted for Taya Freestead to the chase group. She had been receiving her mail in the lead group, but right now it's Beth York who's opening the mailbox each day to see if she's got an Amazon package, and she does, because she has a subscription to Awesome, which shows up at her door, care of Beth York in the lead group. Sad for Taya to get her mail in that second group, but you know what? It's a nice place too. I mean, there's a lot of nice people. It's a good neighborhood, so to speak, in the chase group, but it's not top of the hill gated community business like it is for Beth York, Megan Herzog, Z. Kreider, and many of these other riders. They're coming up, I think, Jason, on a really strategic moment that I always like to capitalize on. It is a short, punchy climb, and if you want to break up this group, and I'm not suggesting that they want to break up this group as they come around with one to go. This is not the one to go lap, of course. They're about to enter the one to go lap as they come under that banner for the last time. But this is the opportunity, really, if you want to break it up. Now, a lot of people will wait until the very end. But if you're looking around and you're thinking, you know what, I'm not going to beat a Beth York in a sprint, or I'm not going to beat her up the hill the last time, maybe I can sneak away right here. And as they come across the JW Bridge for Julian Washington, who is the curator of the of Zwift Riders, the largest collection of virtual riders on the intrawebs, there's an opportunity here, but I don't see any red, orange numbers. I don't see anybody really trying to kick it. They're just like trying to stay here in the fancy group here.
Yeah, and so this power up hill we call typically on social rides, or this little punchy climb right after sprint. After the sprint banner is definitely a place where you see people what we call roll over this hill with some great power to get some gaps, because after this it's those rollers that we talked about, and essentially where this group kind of established itself, and really just a call out from the train saying, hey, it's time to go. It's about one lap to go, and it is time to put the pedal down. So this group needs to get organized, get recovered, and we're going to be heading to the hill as soon as we get through the S's here. Looking really quickly back at the chase group here of Taya Friedstedt and her riders, we're looking at 7 or 8 riders in this chase group, mere 35 seconds behind. They're headed up this hill and they're about to crest it. But they're working really well together too, Chris, on that end. So this group is definitely going to pan out to be something to watch out for. So we'll watch that as we come to the finish as well.
Yeah, they're coming through the S's right now. It tends to break apart just a little bit more. It's easy to get separated there. You see the watts per kilo jump up to 4.5 and then back to 3.2 as they come down these little hills. Really, they've just got to stay in connection with one another. This is the opportunity for that chase group, that Taya's chase group, to really drill it right here. You have to do the hard work coming up these hills and make sure that you maintain a higher overall speed. If you're new and you're like, what are they talking about with the whole watts per kilo thing, right? It is the amount of watts, your overall power that you're putting out at the moment, divided by your kilograms, your weight, and that is kind of an equalizer. Now, don't get out your slide rule, you power nerds. I think of our guy Justin J Wags saying, well, actually pushes up his glasses. That's not really how it works, but it's the equalizer. If Jason and I, and we don't weigh the same, I'm much lighter than he is, are heading up a hill together, and I'm doing 3 watts per kilo and he's doing 3 watts per kilo, that is kind of an equivalency of the amount of power that we are collectively putting out. Now, for me, it may be much easier than for Jason. 3 watts per kilo is kind of hard for him. He sweats, he cries a little, loss of bladder control can occur. But essentially, the power that we're putting out does the same amount of work as we climb up that hill. So it is an equalized number to a certain extent. And if you disagree with this and you want to write in, I'll be glad to read your complaint, as long as it's double-spaced and, of course, has the proper formatting. But you can send that to me in a doc form or even a docx form if you would prefer. So they're coming up here. We're going to have this one to go. I'm excited to hear that from the commissar. We'll come under this banner for the last time as a group, and we've got a nice clean lead group here, but they are really not drilling it. Look at the gap now to this group behind. It looks like they're doing a little bit more work to try to catch on to this group. Is this the right time to do the work, or do you want to put in all your pain and suffering on that hill?
And there you have it. It is 1 lap to go here, and this group of 7 riders is taking it to the ends. They're going to be taking it to this last hill. This will be their last chance up. These ladies haven't been too far on the rivet here. They've been playing a smart race. I have a feeling it's going to be close to a bunch sprint, but we have looks like all A riders here, Chris. So that means they are all vying for those top 3 slots. There's only 7 of them. That means 4 of them will be standing on the floor.
Yeah, no kidding. That is more than creepy. So they're gonna hit this in just a second, and I think that we're gonna maybe see an early attack, probably before the hill. No one wants to get left behind. Some probably don't have the ability to carry it all the way to the top, and we may actually be seeing this right now. Well, it doesn't look like Van Gook is going to try to get off the front. Actually stops pedaling briefly there for a moment to make sure she's not alone at the front here. Wants to slide back into that slipstream. But Beth York there, noticeable in that PTZ jersey, which has the purple and the pink and the green and the yellow all in that, and the stripes. She's the one with the mohawk right now, Beth York. She does not have a mohawk in real life, although I've heard that she's actually going to adopt that mohawk following this race if she finishes in the top 6.
Yeah.
So that'll be nice to see.
Yeah, I think so, Chris. So as we hit up on the hill, we still have 1, 2, 3. That's still 7 riders. So a tactic here, as I say with the athletes that I coach, making sure you make this last group is really important. You really need to watch out. We knew that Beth York put out a huge effort on the first one, so you know that she's got at least a match or 2 burned. We got to make sure you go as hard as you need to go to make sure that you stay with this group. That's important.
Yeah, and they're starting to pick up just a little bit. We haven't hit those orange numbers yet, which means that they are working really hard. And we actually see Gerstema right there just drifting off the front a little bit. That is the A rider there on the front, and Beth trying to stay on her wheel. This is really not, you can't win the race right here, but you can get a huge advantage. And she's kind of moving away from her here a little at this point. We're starting to see in the group here some riders ahead of them in the list, but they are actually behind them on the course as that gap becomes closer on the back end than it is on the front end. We'll draw it out for you all later on a cocktail napkin, and you'll understand. But as they come up here, we have one rider off the front, Gertsema, and she is getting a little bit of a gap there. She's not doing so much more work that she could get away, 3.6 watts per kilo. That's something that they get in their talent. Also trying to make that gap. Beth York now just 3 seconds behind her. Beth wants to make sure she's on a wheel and with some folks as they come up here. We don't know a ton about Gertsema. We can certainly make it up, but that's not what we want to do here. Talent actually closing that gap, doing more work, or was for a moment. Gertsema picks it up again. That gap will grow between her and Talent, but it would be smart for her to take that time back unless she wants to do, oh gosh, you know, all these miles to the end on her own. But she's definitely a climber. She's going to lose this speed advantage on the other side by herself as they flatten out and they come around this last corner. As they flatten out and they start to go downhill, probably Talent's going to be able to connect with her. But the gap to Beth York now is 8 seconds. Maybe she doesn't want to go to the mohawk and shave her head on the sides like her avatar as she promised she would do. But there's a good chance she's still going to finish in that top 6. So as they come up and over here, what do these gaps mean? Are they going to grow? Are they going to shrink? Are we going to see this group come back together?
So the number that I'm looking at here is just around 10 seconds as you come over the KOM. There's a group of four riders there of Stephanie Holmichael, Beth York, Megan Herzog. Those are riders that have ridden together. They know each other. They know their paces. They know how much they can push each other. There's about 20 seconds as we roll over, but the number typically isn't too good as you roll over the KOM. We're on board with Doreen here, and she's from the Netherlands here in the front. She's in first place right now, being chased by M Talent. I believe that's Michelle Talent. But I think, if anything, she's the one who has, and here she comes. She's going to be able to close that gap, and she gets up off the saddle as she hears us. She's going to put herself in the red just to make sure she is with this front group. And this is just a group of 2.
And that's, you know what, that's a really experienced real-life race tactic, because the time, the correct time to close a gap is now. In fact, if you look at the table of looking at distance and time, and you're looking to try to determine, you know, the X and the Y axes, when do you, the answer is always now, right? You close the gap now, because the longer you hang out there, you can't do it slowly. You have to do it quickly. You have to just jump back in, and she does. She's an experienced racer. You can tell by that maneuver. And again, we'll post that chart online. You know, whether you're 2 seconds back and, you know, with 6 miles to go, again, the XY tells us that the time is now. But that gap has grown now to much, much bigger. 19 seconds back to Beth York. She has the opportunity to catch on to this group. She's going to keep drilling it. Herzog right there with her. It looks like a group of two. York and Herzog are now vying for that third spot, but if they work together, they could probably pull back this group. Probably.
I definitely think so, Chris. There's 15 seconds. We've got plenty of riding to do. Don't forget that we've got that punchy jump right after the sprint banner. We're actually going to jump on with that chase group here of with Beth York and the Team
trio now.
That's right, with Team ODivaZ from Stephanie Holmichael and Megan Herzog there. They, like I said, these riders have ridden together before, so they know each other's efforts. They have seen each other in races over and over again. They've been ridden in rides with the Zwift Academy as well as with Team ODivaZ. But we'll have to see, because with Beth York being from PTZ and two Team ODivaZ riders, that could start to come and play an effect.
Well, you know, and I've heard a rumor out there that that Beth York has been considering a team change. Now, BJ Alfonso, a great group leader for PTZ, a wonderful member of the community, but Beth has so many friends on ODivaZ and opportunities to meet them both in real life that she may be considering at the end of the season a team change, which is understandable when we get into those big moves. And she would certainly be welcome in that group. Folks like Taya Freestead, a longtime friend and rival, would do just about anything to be able to ride with her more regularly. Now they're coming down through the section here. They are chasing. They're going to flatten out here a little bit. There are just a few more opportunities to put in that bigger watts per kilo experience as they come through here. And one of those is that little riser that we talked about here in just a little bit. They've got to maintain a faster speed throughout this section if they're going to close back that time.
So I'm going to jump back to the front group, and Doreen here, they are really pushing the pace here. 4.0 plus coming across the bridge here, headed towards Sprint Town. I really think they can put it together, and they're staying really close and really tight. Looks like they've formed somewhat of an alliance here to make sure that this gap stays open, and they need to make sure that number stays above 10.
Yes, they do. They need to keep that gap, because you can close a gap at 10 seconds with just a little bit of extra work. And there are lots of parts on the course which really favor you to be able to do that. Look at this group, though. Even though they're holding 4 watts per kilo, that group back there dipping higher into the 5s, trying to make sure that they keep that. They're about 13, 14 seconds right now. Looks like Beth York is going to leave those sisters behind. Hopefully they can stay right on her wheel. This is where we kind of tend to see things a little bit differently as they move up and over this hill. This is that moment where if you are the chase group, you have got to drill it as you come up and over this in the corner right before you head into Sprint Town. Looks like they're doing that. They know how much work they've got to do. Holmichael and York working together. Herzog also in that group, appears to be tail gunning there, just trying to stay on that group. Maybe the weaker rider. There are little gaps formed. Sometimes it's a second, sometimes it's less. So you know that she's tail gunning there because she keeps dipping off the back of her folks. Yes, Doreen Gertzma also with her new colleague, really Talent, on the front. They're easing back a little bit. Their heart rates are dropping. This is a long time to go at that effort, and they are being chased hard. That is the big question that is yet to be answered. Can York, Holmichael, and Herzog? Hey, Herzog drifts to the front. Maybe it was intentional. Looks to be intentional. She had, over 4.5 watts per kilo there for a moment. But they've got to do the hard work of pulling them back. It looks like 17 seconds right now. That's part of the undulation and the up and down as they crest over these little risers and that gap grows. But as they come through Sprint Town, this is going to equalize just a little bit more. The one big opportunity that they have left to pull this back is to carry as much speed as possible through Sprint Town and as much speed as possible, almost sprint finish kind of character, up that puncher after the JW bridge. If they can create that gap, Jason, in overall speed differential, they can close that gap really, really quick. I won't throw it out there because we don't want to make our audience do math at this time of day. But trust us, if they can keep a higher speed through that whole section, they can pull back much more time on a short hill like that than they can anywhere else on the course.
And those are definitely smart moves. And so if the group of 3 is listening, and if they were listening, they would want to really push against these 2 riders. It's actually Doreen and Melissa Talent here on the front, the USA rider that we're following. So if they wanted to close that gap, they would really want to push right after the sprint here and be able to kind of close that group. But you know what? We've got some messages here on social media. BJ Alfonso from PTZ is offering a €1 billion exchange to Team ODivaZ.
Oh, wow.
For Beth York. So is that enough zeros? 9 zeros. Is that billion or?
You know what? Again, I didn't go to school that long to know what that number means, but I trust BJ. They've got to do the currency exchange arrow. There's a euro rate, the euro zone. I trust BJ, and a great guy. I got to meet him for the first time in Paris when I was over there. Proper good dude. I'm pretty sure he always wears a PTZ kit wherever he goes. He goes shopping, pick up some oranges and maybe some bread. He's wearing his PTZ jersey. He goes in to pay his taxes. PTZ jersey. It's awesome. So looks like a little bit of a separation here. Gersma coming up. Talent still staying on her wheel. But they're lower. They're 4.6. This will be interesting to see what our chase group does. Herzog, they're right there. They're really right there. This is the moment that they've got to put everything into it. They've got to make sure that they are pushing hard on the ups of all of these. The question is there anything left in their legs? They may have just spent it to get in here. 14, 15 seconds is not insurmountable at this point, but they are going to have to do a bigger turn at the front. Now, the problem is that everyone can see everyone's overall effort. No one's going to get snuck up on at this point. Beth York definitely wants to stay in this group. She's got her sights set on a new hairstyle. She's going to take advantage of it by finishing in the top 6 here. It's going to be exciting. She's someone around my age, and it's not a very common hairstyle for someone in their late 30s, as she and I are. But I think she can rock it. You know what? She's athletic. She's funky in general. Sometimes all the hair doesn't grow back like it was there before, but I think she'll be fine with it if it never gets better. But it looks like they're getting close here to that 15-second, 14-second gap. They got to hit it up these little punchers, and then they just got to uncork it to the end. They almost need to work together here to try to get any of them to break up this juggernaut of these two riders at the front who happen to get away on that last climb. Yeah, so as they come, they're inside of a mile right here. This is really exciting to see. They're starting to catch on to some other riders. Looks like they're going to pass the commissar here briefly or just momentarily. There he is on the course saying, have fun, ladies, go for it. And we're only 13 seconds back to the Herzog-Holmichael group, but the ramping up is starting to really happen. The question I have for you, Jason, is Talent or Gertsema? Who is your odds-on favorite to win this sprint right here?
I've been seeing Doreen here put in some huge efforts, and every single climb she's been there close to the front. So my bet's going to go with Doreen here. It looks like Megan is wanting to lead this out. She wants to go early. They are almost there. She's going to go now. She said, wow. Just like you said earlier, Chris, the time is always now. Yep. Doreen's being calm, collected, and we are just on board here. But here she comes as she ramped up. Look at that cadence go straight up to the sky. She comes just around Megan here to the finish here, and we'll take it to the line here.
Megan's going to want to be able to get right on her wheel. They are inside the 300. We just saw that a moment ago. We're going to pass the 200 here in just a moment, and we're going to just see what they've got. No power-ups to play. We can see the banner. We're going to see the red numbers here in just a moment. Gertsema kicks it up, but that gap is not going to help. Oh, Megan may be moving just a little bit late, but maybe not. She's going to come around. She's going to do everything she can right at the line. I'm going to say it's Megan by a third of a wheel. Oh, here we come for the big finish. Beth York on the front, but loses it just briefly to Megan Herzog. Is she going to come around? She's not, and so it's going to be Herzog, York, and right there at the end, Holmichael. That is our top 5. Really amazing racing. I can't believe that little pass at the end there. Wherever they are in their homes or in their pain caves, they are hunched over their bars, breathing heavy, asking themselves, why did I agree to do this? Okay, Zeke Ryder decides she's going to take advantage of this, wants to get away from Taya Freestead, and it looks like she's going to be able to do it. She's going to just sprint to the line. No one's going to chase her. Taya Freestead still finishing top 10 here, but Van Gucht is definitely going to want to take that spot from her. Comes under the cone with her briefly for a moment. But Taya is a dang good sprinter. Stay on her wheel, Taya. Don't lose that. 300 meters to go. She's cagey, right? She's going to be able to get this. Whoa, wait, Van Gucht, where are you going?
11 watts per kilogram.
Oh, that is just not fair.
That's Kraken.
That's released the Kraken territory. Liam Neeson just stepped out onto the course and said, release the Kraken. It was very, very nice. And Taya's going to be just content rolling over the line. She knows the work that she did trying to orchestrate that chase group back as a strong rider. She's really more excited than anything for the opportunity to have Beth as a teammate and to get a lock of her recently shaved hair.
Yeah. Oh, yes. That's right. That's right. Mm-hmm. So we're going to do a quick rundown here. Yep. We'll see if we can do it. We've got our first place rider here, Megan Talent from USA. Definitely a huge effort right there in the final 50. Yes. Maybe, what was that? It was the last 100 meters.
We're going to call that the last 10 millimeters.
10 millimeters. Mm-hmm. That's less than a tire for those measuring their tires out there. And then Doreen with huge efforts on both climbs coming in second. Third place, Megan Herzog. Great race by those trio of Megan, Beth, and Stephanie Holmichael today. Huge efforts by all of them. Great effort on the second climb by Beth, but really worked well, worked very smart together. But Megan got it there in the end. I have a feeling there was something that Stephanie Holmichael had to do with that, but I know Beth is definitely a strong rider there. So that rounds out our 5. We've got our 6th rider, Zilstra, and then Z Kreider.
Easy for you to say.
Yeah, Kreider, and then Van Goghs. And then in our 10th place spot, Taya Friested rounding that out, Chris. So really great race today. And you know what? It was really great having you next to me today.
This is awesome. We've never been able to do this. We've always done it via distance, but I was down this week to do stuff. I was at a conference presented on esports, and I got to go to the Blizzard Arena opening last night. The cool private party that Blizzard Entertainment did. They've got a new space out in Burbank. It actually is a esports arena built in the old Jay Leno and Johnny Carson Studio One on the NBC Burbank lot, and it's a permanent space for them, and it is unreal. I'll post some photos and images there, but I got to play Overwatch on their stage in a competition. And you'd be proud of me. I got my trash kicked by a bunch of professional esports devs.
I did catch some live stream of that while you were there, and it was definitely interesting. And you know, just the esport kind of idea and world is it's growing so much. You know, whether it be here on our platform today or just kind of across the board, we're just kind of following those trends and just seeing kind of where this goes. Because what we do here on Zwift is just so unique compared to what we have. So I definitely see a huge things for us as we move forward and in esports in general. Yeah,
you know, we've had some really interesting conversations. We know that 2020 is going to have the Olympics in China. 2024 looks to be Paris now, although there was some question was it going to be Paris or LA, but it looks like it's going to be Paris. And esports is being added to those. What are the games that are going to be played? Remains to be seen. Could it be a hybrid esport like this, where it's physicality plus strategery? I believe that's the correct word. We're going to see these things really shape up. But more events like we're seeing in other places, more events like the ODivaZ Saturday Ride broadcast, more things like our friend Nathan Garrett does with KISS races and some of those other ones, more things like the eCrit, like the CVR, great opportunities to learn about different new athletes and especially virtual cycle sport. It's just crazy fun.
That's exciting. And so, I mean, definitely looking forward to that. The ladies that are here in this race, the 50 riders, thanks for all of those coming on. Oh, my gosh, yes. All the viewers out here, we've got just under 1 billion views today.
Oh, wow. So thanks. Yeah, BJ, thank you for calculating that for us.
Yes, thank you for that. And everybody on Andy Jenner, Carrie Conabear, BJ Alfonso, all the riders that were making comments here on social media, thanks for all your kudos to all the ladies today. Definitely look forward. Guess what? You've got one more race with us before the Zwift Academy finishes, and it's going to be our 3rd race in a row. We just sit here until the next race starts.
Yep.
So we're going to be here for the next 7 days, covering pretty much nothing until next Saturday.
Yeah. Your first question is, how do you deal with the nature break? You know what? Just, you don't want to know. You don't want to know.
All right. And so with that, we are going to take it home, and I'm really happy to have Chris here. It's been a pleasure, and I don't know how Beth spent this much time with you, but I am just excited with just this little bit of time.
Hey, Beth, I'm going to want a lock of that hair when you cut it.
All right, here we go. All right. And with that, we want to thank everybody here, and we'll see everybody next week here on ODivaZ and by Team ODivaZ.